The need for religions to find common ground is vital in a constantly changing world. It is a reality that while not carried in the news on a daily basis, it is being pursued in various fora. For example, I am aware that there is a parliament of religions which seeks to cultivate harmony among the world's religious and spiritual communities. The challenge faced for countries like Barbados was that because of the path of history, a dominant faith grouping emerged which, like in all colonial experiences, was the colonizers' religion. This practice can be seen even in the scriptures, where the conquering nation's God was perceived as clearly being of greater power, since those fighting in his name are triumphed. Today, while the legacy remains, the awareness of being members of one nation and one people slowly begins to come to greater and greater light. This requires that we shift our focus from the notion of numerical superiority or perceived exclusive worldview to a realization that there are many viewpoints, cultures, and peoples in this world. This is an enlightened viewpoint, which is not widely shared, especially when persons have only a monocultural experience. Therefore, one can readily conclude that this work is a timely addition to the efforts which have already been advanced over recent years to bring our faith communities closer together. This closer relationship will facilitate cooperation in areas of mutual benefit and will ensure that faith communities can speak in unison on issues that affect all Barbadians. A prime example of such cooperation occurred in 2019 when my ministry, before my time, supported an initiative of Codrington College, as you heard earlier, to host an Abrahamic conference. A key component of this initiative was a youth rally which was held to acknowledge the faith group presence in the nation who held Abraham as a shared faith ancestor. Under the theme, Respecting All Faiths, youths participating in the rally were invited to visit the 4 faith expressions. And while I was putting together these notes, I found this to be fascinating as well. These sites comprise the mosque in Sobers Lane, the synagogue on Synagogue Lane, the St. Michael's Cathedral, and the Queen's Park Steel Shed, where the Rastafarian recalled a significant event in their history. This is just brilliant. And I suspect that we could have more Barbadian youth doing these things, then we don't have to teach tolerance, because tolerance becomes part of who we are. At each venue, the respective faith community shared its history to... This is brilliant. At each venue, the respective faith community shared its history to provide our youth with an awareness that those we often refer to as others have been a part of our story from very early times. Colleagues, I wish to assure you that my ministry is mindful of the importance of not only pulling together the Abrahamic faiths and assisting in raising awareness, we also fully acknowledge the need to work with all faith groups in this nation. The strengthening of this smart partnership between my ministry and faith groups will facilitate the continued contribution that can be made to our nation by communities who seek to raise the consciousness of our people and build avenues for healing and for growth. That our youth worldwide are searching and seeking to the point of going beyond the parameters set by the communities as it relates to faith expression is a reality. Many young persons are seeking new spiritual paths. This search is nothing new and has been a feature of religion from early days. It, however, is essential that as new communities grow into adulthood, they can perceive religion from a place of inclusivity and understanding, as opposed to exclusion and ignorance. At this juncture, I wish to highlight the importance of the Clergy Committee of the Ministry of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, under which Ecclesiastical Affairs falls. This committee has served as a vital platform for faith communities to communicate and form synergies for the provision of the needs of many vulnerable persons in our communities. Needless to say, I view the relationship between the committee and the ministry as one of the ministry's most valuable partnerships, and it is my firm intention to ensure that this relationship is strengthened and enhanced during my tenure as minister, however long that may be, depending on the requirements. Undoubtedly, this committee is symbolic of the government of Barbados' commitment to working with all faith-based communities for the unity and benefit of all its people. Thus, I am pleased to acknowledge my ministry's engagement with the Muslim community through the Barbados Muslim Association. Of fundamental importance is that part played by the Muslim community in my ministry's agenda to alleviate the scourge of poverty in Barbados. Many people may not know that during some of our island's most recent challenges, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, the freak storm, and the devastating effects of Hurricane Elsa, the Muslim community supported the ministry by providing much needed assistance to the victims of these unfortunate events, and I thank you. Furthermore, it would be remiss of me not to mention the ministry's collaboration with faith-based groups to produce Faith Corner, a multimedia production of a series of encouraging and spiritually uplifting messages and prayers, which were streamed on social media platforms, radio, and television during the COVID-19 pandemic. This initiative was undertaken after the Prime Minister of Barbados encouraged the residents and citizens of our nation to pause for prayer. You may remember. Permit me this opportunity to express appreciation to all faith-based groups for their unwavering commitment, benevolence, and emotional support, which was extended to vulnerable groups during those very difficult periods. And believe me when I say to you that in times of difficulty, people who already have it hard, have it extremely hard, and that every single act of kindness is magnified in the lives of people in a real way, in ways that you cannot even begin to imagine. And I truly want to thank you for your support during those most difficult times.
I started to study comparative religions, and I got involved in a lot of interfaith dialogues with adherents of various religious beliefs, especially Christianity, because it is part of Abrahamic faith. Islam, Judaism, and Christianity are really Abrahamic faith. So over the years, I would go to many schools. I would be invited to speak on Islam, and then we would have a dialogue. I would go to many secondary schools and other groups too. And I would also have groups come into the Juma Mosque so that they would be able to see how the Muslim worship. I would first give them a history of Islam in Barbados, because many people believe that Islam came with the arrival of the East Indians in Barbados, and that is not really the case. Islam was brought by the Muslims who also came as slaves. In other words, among the slaves there were Muslims, and we have an example at Codrington College. We have many names who are Muslim names that you could find at Codrington College. I have also started to work very closely with Bishop Dixon from the Catholic faith and Harcourt Blackett, Monsignor. He's in St. Vincent now. And then I also had a very, very long relationship with Codrington College, especially with Reverend Winston Lane, because I think he had a 2-year course, and he would bring the students at the mosque, and I would also go to the Codrington College and have a dialogue, interfaith dialogue. Sometimes dialogue used to be. That is all in the spirit. I work with Reverend Dr. Joel Kamabaj of the Wesleyan Holiness Church. I think they were conducting a comparative religion course where students were training to become reverends and pastors. One of the good things that happened over the 30 years of this relationship was that many reverends and pastors had a better understanding of what Islam is, and so that they were not speaking about Islam from the point of ignorance. And this discussion also removed a lot of myth and misconception about Islam and Muslims. And so today, there are many reverends and priests could say, oh yes, when I see them, they say, oh yes, you are the one who I met when I was at Juma Masjid or something like that. So we will have that kind of discussion. We will go to many Bible classes too. And of course, Suleiman would come with me too. I really wanted to say as my trainee assistant, but I would face a serious consequences, So let's leave out that word. So we go to like a lot of Bible classes or these things. We go to People's Cathedral. We had a gentleman, Dr. Brooks. I think he's from USA. We would have many discussions there with the Bible class students and so on. And when he was leaving, after many years at People's Cathedral, he invited me at his home, and he presented me with the Holy Bible that was 100 years old. So you see, he was also building bridges too, so it was not one-sided something, And so, and he told, I was delighted, of course, but at the same time I was curious. A Muslim, Christian giving me 100-year-old Bible. So I say, Dr. Brooks, may I ask you, why you chose me? He says, well, because I think that you are the one who is going to preserve the Bible. And that's fantastic. That again is a perfect example of building bridges. And I think that's what we need to do. And so Suleiman and I, we have been doing this for many years, not as my trainee assistant, but as my equal. Now, somebody has to learn from somebody. So you see, building bridges connect, white walls divides, and bridges serve as our lifeline. So we have to maintain and keep that connection. So what we have been doing during the month of Ramadan, we would invite our Christian friends for iftar, that is breaking of the fast, because going to churches and going to school is not the end of it. There must be a continuation. So we will invite our Christian friends on weekends, and when we have iftar, breaking of the fast home by me, and so that they will be able to see, how Muslims break fast, what do they do after, what are the formalities. And during our festival of Eid, we would also invite our Christian friends so that they would be able to join in our festivities and learn more. And we would be very particular in inviting the media too, so that we want not only those who are our guests, but those who live in Barbados to know that, look, that you have Muslims and Christians and people of other faiths are coming together at a particular faith, and that is the way that we need to continue to build bridges. And I think that this is one of the examples. Writing this book is an example of building bridges. Islam, Judaism, and Christianity are really sister religions, and they're just held apart by superficialities and dogmas. But let me really check. God sent prophets to every nation on the face of the earth. For what purpose? To guide humanity to worship one God. one creator, one sustainer, one nourisher.
This book is different than his previous two books, which featured oral and historical research in a totally different genre. Bengal to Barbados and Muslims of CARICOM spoke to historical accounts of East Indians on one hand and Muslims on the other in Barbados and the Caribbean. In the Footsteps of Abraham, this book, this third publication of Sabir, I know is a work of love for him. And I know this because I have been at his side for more than 30 years. I think longer than his wife, right? And he has always wanted to put into writing this type of research, as this was his other passion, his other longing, dialoguing and seeking to build bridges of understanding between persons of different faiths and cultures and understandings. And he has certainly done this over the years. And a journey you will see a little later in the program, a journey that he undertook many, many years ago. I wish that this evening will not simply be a book launch. As my son would often say, it's not just to tick a box in this book. I want every one of you here this evening who have accepted this invitation to experience a program that allows us all to leave here energized, to understand who we are and who the next person is, even if the next person is one of another faith or persuasion. And this is what the book Abrahamic Faith, this is what the book intends for the Abrahamic faith, especially in Barbados. An opportunity to understand the great prophets of God through the lens of the other faith traditions and to get a better understanding of their lives and their legacy. The Abrahamic faith, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam make up the majority or more than half of the world's population in the world today. These faith traditions cannot be ignored or sidelined. We must seek to understand them. Sabir's work in a 21st century world and reality is extremely laudable, as it reminds us all as faith communities to return to the source of all knowledge and guidance found in our respective religions. These extraordinary human beings, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, peace be upon them all, left for us legacies that last a lifetime. Their lives are as relevant today as it was centuries ago when their blessed footsteps walked the earth. But this book also allows for another perspective to be brought in the discussion that has found its rounds in Barbados over the last few months on the role of faith in our society and the belief in God, our Creator. This book launch this evening also affords the opportunity to further our discussions on interfaith dialogue, but more importantly, cooperation in bringing about a Barbados that the world can use as an example of human and spiritual development. We have a long history and legacy of the Abrahamic faith communities in Barbados. It is a heritage that we must seek to understand and showcase to the world. It is a legacy that can help Barbados in so many ways.